Episode 72, News and Upcoming Events. Welcome to the Visionary Variety Podcast, where we cover cool stuff like photo, video, film, books, and technology. So switch on your brain and enjoy the show. Alright guys, in this episode, it is just me. We had a little bit of a schedule change this previous week. My sister-in-law decided to have her baby. So instead of recording my podcast Thursday night, we zipped on out to Austin. My wife helped her, and I had the kids for like 24 hours. And yeah, so that happened. So instead of recording with Daniel Walzak and doing a book and movie review of Limitless, I decided to do a short episode. Well, hopefully it'll be short. I always say that and it never ends up short. A short episode with just me, just talking about a bunch of random stuff. So first we'll start with some photography classes coming up that I'm teaching. After that, we'll talk about a new cosplay convention that is free in Seguin happening this year. Also, our friend Abhi, who's been on the podcast a number of times, has his own podcast. Also, we'll be talking about a little bit of science in the news. And lastly, we'll end it with some recent books I've listened to and some recent as well as upcoming movies that I'm really looking forward to. All right, well, let's get started with the photography news. So first up, we've got the first annual San Antonio Youth Photo Tournament. That's right, this is a youth photo tournament. This is happening July 21st, and it starts at 8 a.m. and finishes at 2:30 p.m. This is happening at the Dominion Country Club on the north side of San Antonio. This is put on by a number of people who do events really, really well. If you've got a kid, a teenager that's into photography, you definitely need to check out this contest, because this contest isn't just about winning. It's not just about being the best and getting bragging rights that you won a contest. This is about learning. This is about community, and everyone that attends also is going to get a goodie bag. Now, I always think of like cheap little bags of candy at kids' birthday parties, but the prizes and things that they give out at these events are legit. Like these are going to be some good stuff. This is not like a coloring book and some candy. These are going to be some great photography related items that your kid is not going to want to miss. And I'm sure there's prizes for the winners as well. It is $29 per participant, and if you want to know anything else about the tournament, just call 210-681-8552. All right, next, and also a little bit related to the youth tournament, is I've got a few classes left at the Landers Photography School, who is one of the main organizations that puts on this photo tournament. But Jim Landers, who runs Landers Photography School, teaches a number of classes covering anything from professional business to pricing to shooting in the studio to working Photoshop on Lightroom. Pretty much everything you need to know to be a not only good photographer, but a successful and profitable photographer. All that stuff you need to know, Jim teaches at Landers Photography School, and I am honored to be one of his teachers. So last week, I actually taught part 1 of the Lightroom class, and part 2 is coming on June 26th, and then part 3 is July 24th. So in these classes, I'll be covering pretty much everything from the ground up, from the basics to the advanced stuff within Lightroom, how to use it to speed up your workflow and get good edits, and just to bring back the fun of photography editing. All right, some other classes I'll be teaching is at Camera Exchange. On July 20th, I'm teaching Photoshop 101, which is from 10:30 to 12:30. And then after that, after a 1 hour break, is the Photoshop 201, which is 1:30 to 3:30. Both classes are 2 hours long. They're both $59.95. You can pay for those and sign up on the Camera Exchange website. They're pretty much back to back on July 20th. Basic Photoshop, and then after that, more advanced class. We're going to cover, as much as I can cram into those 4 hours. For the beginner class, I'll be explaining what Photoshop does, how to customize your setup to use only the tools that you're going to need. I'll explain the basics of layering, cropping, exporting, all the basic things you need to know to kind of get started in the right direction in Photoshop, and not be scared and intimidated by it, because you cannot learn something that you're scared of. So I'm going to undo the fear that many people have of Photoshop, and I'm going to show you how amazing and really how easy Photoshop can be. And then in the second class, Photoshop 201 at 1:30, I'll be teaching the more advanced tricks like masking, some compositing tricks, how to enhance your images, some retouching, and a bunch of other really great tricks that you need to know if you use Photoshop. So both those classes are $59.95. After that, I'll be teaching a Lightroom workshop on August 24th, also at Camera Exchange. This class is a 3-hour from 10:30 to 1:30, and it is $79.95. And in this class, although it seems really long, being 3 hours, it actually works out really well. So the first hour and a half, I'll talk about file organization, folders, importing, and then culling, which is really important, and it can be a fun process in Lightroom. And after that, I'll teach the editing using the develop module, how to edit, correct, enhance, and just really beautify your images to get the style that you want for your images. And then the ending of the class, I'll talk about exporting, watermarks, and my whole workflow and how Lightroom fits into it. So if you want to learn quickly and efficiently and also be able to ask questions, you need to check out these classes. All right, that's enough of my classes. All right, next up on my schedule is a free convention happening at the Seguin Public Library. This is called MiniCon. I guess you can call it a cosplay convention, a cosplay event, whatever. You don't have to come in costume, but it definitely is more fun if you dress up. So MiniCon is August 3rd from 1 to 5 p.m. again at the Seguin Library, which is a beautiful award-winning library. The library is beautiful, and you definitely want to check it out. This event's going to be great. There's going to be a whole bunch of artists, a bunch of people in awesome costumes. Pretty sure there's a cosplay contest, and I'm actually going to have a booth as well as a photo shoot schedule, most likely at the event. So I'm going to be doing a bunch of photo shoots all over the place, as well as in my booth. Hopefully I'll have a studio set up there, and I'll also be walking around and doing some scheduled photo shoots of cosplayers inside and outside of the library. So I'm really looking forward to this event for what it is, but also for the photography that's going to happen there. I can't wait. All right, and then at the end of August, August 30th and 31st, which is a Friday, Saturday, I am doing photo shoots at San Japan, which is at the Henry B. Gonzalez Center, downtown San Antonio. This will be my 4th year, I believe, doing photo shoots here, and I am pumped because on Saturday, my schedule is already full. That means I'm doing I think it's 12 back-to-back mini photo shoots from 8 a.m. to 3:30, I think. And then Friday, at the time of this recording, I've still got some openings. So if you want some amazing cosplay photos you cannot get anywhere else, definitely hit me up about Friday at San Japan, August 30th. I've got slots open from 8 a.m. till I think 1 p.m., but it's changing every week. So if someone books me, they get that slot and you can't have it. So if you want in on my schedule, contact me ASAP. Okay, next, Abi Leon. He has been on this podcast a few times, mostly movie-related episodes, because Abi is like my go-to guy for film analysis, technical stuff. He just knows the craft inside and out, from production to recording, planning. I mean, he's writing stuff. I think he's writing a screenplay for a film. This guy's talented, and he's a big inspiration to me. And I think I might be a little bit of inspiration to him because he started a podcast, and it's called The Lion's Den Podcast. He started a YouTube channel called Lion Tree Media. You can find the podcast episodes there. And in a week or two, they will be live on all the various podcasting platforms from Apple, Android, Pocket Casts, which is the one that Nate and I use, Stitcher, Spotify, all the other ones. The Lion's Den Podcast. Check it out and look for it in a few weeks. But you can watch episode 1 right now on YouTube. He'll be covering pop culture, current events, entertainment, and also interviewing a bunch of people with different skill sets and careers and visions. And, it's kind of like me. I love to interview people that do something different than me. I love to interview people that are creative, that do something different and unique. And I know that Albie also has that goal, and he loves to promote local business and people doing what they love to do. So definitely check out his podcast soon for a lot of great content. All right, let's talk about a few random sciencey news items. I know this is totally out of the blue, but hey, you're listening to the Visionary Variety podcast. All right, you just never know what you're going to get. So you're listening. It's too late. I hope you like science because 2 scientists at the Scottish Oceans Institute at the University of St. Andrews, obviously in Scotland, have trained seals to sing. Yes, you can find video of this. It is super cute. These seals pop up out of their water tank. The scientists play a simple melody on what I believe is a keyboard with some sample or pre-recorded seal noises, and the seal hears it, and what do? They copy it. They're totally mimicking melodies with rhythm. Now, they're not professional singers, but when you listen to it, you can tell that these animals are listening, they're thinking hard, and they are doing their best to mimic the melodies of, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. I think at one point they play the Star Wars song, and it's really interesting because I feel like if an animal can grasp a musical melody and recreate it, that's definitely a sign of some level of intelligence. We all know there's quite a few species of birds like parrots and things like that that can mimic melodies and voices, and that still blows my mind. But I've never heard of a sea animal being able to do this. So check that out. Singing seals. The scientists' names are Amanda Stansbury and Vincent Yannick at the Scottish Oceans Institute. Very cool stuff. All right, the next random piece of science news that I'm going to throw in your face is not under the oceans, but out in space, which is probably a little bit less terrifying than what's under the ocean. I don't know. You tell me. Are you more scared of going under the ocean or going into outer space? It's an ongoing debate. Well, recently, the OSIRIS-REx spacecraft, that's right, OSIRIS-REx, what a cool name, right? Has approached an asteroid called Bennu, Bennu. I hope I'm saying that right. And it is currently orbiting Bennu, which is 1,700 feet in diameter. And this is not only the closest we've gotten to an asteroid in history, but it's also the smallest body in our solar system that we have ever orbited with a spacecraft. And that's pretty cool. So this is already making history. The OSIRIS-REx's mission is to take pictures of this asteroid, but also to collect physical samples from an asteroid. And that is really exciting. I mean, we don't know where this asteroid has been, but it has been in almost deep space. I think it came from the Oort cloud. I'm not quite sure, but this is not something that's anywhere near the sun. It's from way out there. And that personally excites me because we just don't know what we're going to find on this thing. I mean, there could be signs of life. That's my science fiction side coming in. There could be new elements. There could be traces of who knows what. Hopefully, they learn a lot of good stuff from this thing. But what really caught my eye was an image captured on June 13th this year, 2019. And this image is amazing. This image was captured from a mere 2,112 feet away. That's just less than half a mile. And that's crazy. I mean, we're probably thinking, oh, that's so far away. But in space, that is like, you could reach out and touch it. That is dangerously close to anything, flying at the speeds of an asteroid. Yet we have an asteroid that's keeping up with it, taking pictures, and it's going to grab some dirt and some rocks out of there and take it back to Earth. And that is so incredible. So the plan is it's going to stay in orbit until mid-August. That's in 2 months from now. And it's going to be creating a full global map using visual imagery, infrared, and X-ray. And that's super cool. So they're going to have a full, 3D map of this little thing that's going to come back to Earth. And that data is going to be very valuable. I'm sure scientists cannot wait to analyze that stuff. But this is definitely a long-range plan because in 2020, next year, it's going to reach out and grab some samples off of this thing using a burst of nitrogen gas and some collectors, and then it's going to send those samples back to Earth, which is going to return in 2023. So, wow, this is like a 4-year plan. And I don't even know when it launched. It probably launched a year or two ago, at least. So you got to hand it to these NASA scientists, man. They can plan these things out down to the foot. Years in advance, and there's so many variable things that can go wrong. Yet a lot of these missions just go off beautifully, and it blows my mind. So here's something I did not know while researching this little bit of news is that in February of 2019, Japan launched a little spacecraft called Hayabusa 2, which collected samples off of an asteroid named Ryugu. And wow, like we've already done that. I mean, not we, but Japan, but hey, we're all humans. So we, as a human race, have collected alien material off of a flying asteroid out in space. That's awesome. All right, that's it for the random bits of science news that I just had to get in here. Let's talk about some books and movies and TV shows that have been on my mind lately. I just finished listening to Limitless by Alan Glenn. Now, you may recognize that name if you watched the movie Limitless with Bradley Cooper that came out in 2010. Awesome movie. I love it. And soon after I watched the movie and I just became obsessed with it, I learned that it's actually based off of a book called The Darkened Fields. And it's funny because in the movie, Bradley Cooper's character is writing a book called Enlightening the Darkened Fields. It's kind of a weird little callback. So the novel titled Limitless is actually a re-release and a renaming of the novel, which was originally called Darkened Fields, like I said, or The Darkened Fields, which came out in 2001. So the movie came out in 2010. I think it was a pretty big hit. And so they said, hey guys, we need some more attention on the book. Let's increase the sales on the book by renaming the book to be just like the movie. So they did, and I'm sure it worked. And this book is so gripping and so just, I don't have anxiety, but I did reading this book. There's a few scenes where you just get so nervous and just not scared, but I don't know, just like on the edge of your seat. But the story, the premise, which is very simple, is just beautiful and really rich and fun to read about. Again, that's Limitless by Alan Glenn. The episode that you should be listening to right now was originally going to be, like I said earlier, a movie/book review and comparison, the kind of a film adaptation critique by Daniel Walzak and myself. He loves audiobooks as I do, and so I said, hey, We both love this movie. Why don't you listen to the book? I'll listen to the book. And, for him, it took him like 2 days. For me, it took about 2 weeks. And so we said, all right, that was awesome. We just watched the movie. We just read the book. Let's do a really cool episode analyzing the differences and just talking about how much we love the story. But like I said, my sister-in-law had a baby, so that changed this week's plan. Hopefully, the Limitless episode will happen next week, and it's definitely one you don't want to miss. So I love this book. I'd give it a 5-star easily. All right, next book that I am not finished with, but I'm about 3/4 the way through is The Massacre of Mankind. What a classic name, right? Well, this book actually came out in 2010 by Stephen Baxter, and this is, brace yourself, a sequel to War of the Worlds. Yeah, that old radio broadcast which was made into a movie with Tom Cruise. And in the original broadcast of this story, written by H.G. Wells, mind you, one of the classics of fiction and science fiction, when it was originally broadcast on home radios, people thought it was a legitimate newscast of aliens invading the Earth. And people just lost it. It was like the original Y2K event. So yeah, that's needless to say, it was a hit and left a lasting impression on many people's lives. So he got the official okay to make an official sequel to War of the Worlds. And man, I am loving this book. I seriously hope this gets made into a movie because it's like a great World War II style, running through the trenches, aliens shooting lasers everywhere. People plotting plots within plots to take down the aliens. And, some people just don't care anymore. They just want to live with the aliens. It's really, really deep. And the characters are fantastic. So again, I'm giving this one a 5-star, and I'm not even done with it yet because it just keeps getting better and better. So if you love War of the Worlds, if you want a really great alien invasion story, but you also love World War II, World War I stuff, definitely check out Massacre of Mankind by Stephen Baxter, who happens to be one of my favorite sci-fi authors. And the next book is my other favorite sci-fi author, Alistair Reynolds, and the book is Terminal Worlds. This one came out in 2010. I'm also about 3/4 of the way through this. I started this book on paperback, believe it or not. One of the last books I physically read, or at least started. And as with all physical books I try to read in the real world, my attention just tapers off and I eventually just am not reading it. And I don't know why. Even when I love the story to death, I don't know. I lose focus on books. That's why I just listen to audiobooks all the time now because it works for me. So anyway, Terminal World is really cool. It's a really interesting world because the way that Alistair Reynolds wrote this setup in this universe is that he's able to mash together a bunch of different genres that we all know and love, like steampunk, medieval, cyberpunk, even like really high-tech nanobot ascended human stuff, post-human type technology. It's all in this one book. And, I'm not even going to tell you how. I'm not going to tell you why. I just want you to go get the book, read it, listen to it, and love it. And you'll thank me later because it's a really fun book. Lots of adventure, lots of cool creatures, and an interesting speculative history that goes, I think, about 4,000 to 5,000 years into the future of current day. And I'm really enjoying it. Can't wait to finish it and see what's going to happen next. All right, so that's it for my books that I have finished and am listening to. Let's talk about movies. I got 3 here. One of them is, unsurprisingly, Limitless, the movie with Bradley Cooper. Very fun movie. Again, great story. I think it's a decent adaptation. There are definitely a lot of changes made, but I can kind of see why they were made, and I'm kind of okay with most of them. But at the same time, if you know the book and the original story, it's kind of fun to compare the two, but that is something I'll save for a future episode with Daniel Walzak. Next on my list is I Am Mother, which is a Netflix original. And man, this was a really beautifully well done sci-fi. Now it only had about 3 or 4 different sets. Like it's kind of one of those movies that doesn't travel very much, but it doesn't have to because the story takes you places with your mind and with your thoughts and your speculations. And the character building is fantastic as well. But most of all, the robot character, Mother, in this movie is just like, you just can't stop looking at her. It's so well done. And the cool thing about it is that it is all practical effects, which means that the robot that you see in the movie is literally a suit with a person inside, moving, acting, performing, and being a robot. And the suit is well made, as well as a performer does a great job being a robot. And it's just enthralling to watch because we're so used to CGI robots and, you kind of just can't help but pick them apart. So, oh, that doesn't look real, or, well, that was really well done, but I can tell it's not real. Now, this is really, really real. and it just draws you into the story even more. Really cool sci-fi world, post-apocalyptic setting with a bunch of secrets and cover-ups and, almost conspiracy type stuff. So check it out. I Am Mother. It's on Netflix. All right, the last of my 3 movies is Godzilla, or as I like to say, Gozira, King of the Monsters. I saw this on Father's Day with my dad and my brother, and man, it was a fun ride. This is kind of like just a fun sci-fi flick that's, is kind of half sci-fi, maybe mostly action, because there is a crap ton of huge monster fighting scenes, and apparently some people on the internet have complained that the fight scenes are too long. It's a monster movie with fighting monsters. Like that's literally what Godzilla is and has always been about. In any adaptation, it's all about the destruction and the monster fighting, and how many humans are going to get stepped on. But this movie was super fun. There's a lot of cliches. There's a lot of plot holes. There's a lot of scenes where each character gets to say their, punchy one-liner, and then the next character says their one-liner, and it's dramatic or funny, and the next one says their line. There's a lot of that, and it's corny, it's cheesy, but you know what? That's okay with me because this movie was fun and exciting, and the visuals were spectacular. They did not cut any corners on the visuals, and the actors are good too. Even though there's a lot of cheese, a lot of cliches, they make it work. They do a good job with it. So if you want a fun ride, lots of awesome monster fights and things like that, check out Godzilla, King of the Monsters. All right, coming up on TV and film, first we've got Stranger Things Season 3 coming out in July 4th, which is not very far away from this recording date. Wow, the most recent trailer really just opened up a whole new world of conflict. In this trailer, what was revealed is that the hot dude that always shows his muscles, kind of a jerk, I forgot his name. I'm blanking, but he gets possessed apparently by the extra dimensional monster. And now this isn't spoilers because this is in the trailer. All right. So it looks like we got a new villain, and it is actually the monster possessing people and or a group of people and trying to have his way with his agenda in our world. And he's from the Upside Down. So lots of fun action. The kids are growing up. They're getting older. And I feel like the show just keeps getting better, which is really hard to imagine because seasons 1 and 2 were just phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to Stranger Things Season 3. I will definitely be binge watching that as soon as I can. Next up is Ad Astra with Matt Damon. We got another sci-fi movie with Matt Damon. I hope he doesn't get stuck on a planet and need to get rescued again because that is just getting typecast for him. We got Interstellar and The Martian. He just needs to stop getting stuck out in space, okay? So Ad Astra looks really cool, about a guy kind of sent on a secret mission to go find his father or find out what his father has found. And his father himself was on a very secret mission with something that apparently could destroy the whole solar system. So yeah, it looks like some good hard sci-fi. So a little bit of space opera going on, and I can't wait to see what it has to offer. Next up is Terminator Dark Fate. We've got more time travel. My goodness, if you look up a time travel chart, like a flow chart for the Terminator franchise, don't even try to decipher it. Just don't waste your time because it's impossible. The time travel in Terminator is ridiculous. And honestly, I'm pretty sure it's full of a bunch of plot holes and paradoxes. But, that's what happens when a bunch of different people start making time travel movies. And I don't know if I heard someone right, but I believe someone said that this movie is a sequel to Terminator 2 and that it's kind of nixing all the other movies. I don't know if all of them, but it's sort of cleaning up the canon. Now, if this is true, I guess what they're trying to do is they're saying, oh, all those other movies that sort of got things real crazy with the timeline and the time travel, they're not really canon anymore. We're going to start fresh and make things and do things right. So that may be the case. It may not. You can see in the trailer that John Carter's mother meets her younger self, and it looks awesome. There's also some human-robot hybrid action going on with someone that thinks they're human, but they're obviously not. So that looks like some Genesis stuff going on there. I don't know. I'm actually very behind on my Terminator lore, so forgive me if I just butchered everything. But hey, I'll see the movie. I probably need to watch Terminator 1 and 2 first before I go see Dark Fate. Okay, next is Godzilla vs. Kong. So I'm looking forward to this because in Godzilla King of the Monsters, this isn't really a spoiler, although, I don't know. I don't know, maybe it is, but King Kong is in the universe of Godzilla King of the Monsters. Even Skull Island is mentioned like 4 or 5 times. They're not secretive about it at all. So Kong is a thing, and you don't see him in Godzilla King of the Monsters because they're saving him for this movie. So for some reason, looks like Godzilla's going to go head to head with King Kong. I'm guessing on Skull Island. So that's definitely going to be one to see if you like the kaiju and big monster franchises. Okay, next is 2 days before my birthday on December 18th. He-Man, Masters of the Universe, is gonna happen. I'm very curious to see if he will be clad in muscles and a loincloth, or if they're gonna make him, a little more modest. I don't know. He-Man is a classic fantasy cartoon series that is going to be really interesting, turned into a movie. I hope I can take it seriously. Like if Marvel did it, I'm pretty sure it could be awesome, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with it. After that, we've got Dune coming out in 2020. This is going to be a huge hit because Dune is a science fiction novel that started it all. Okay, maybe not all, but it started a lot of stuff, including a heavy influence on George Lucas to write Star Wars and to make a desert planet. That's all from Dune. So Dune is a classic science fiction that came out in 1965. And it was written by Frank Herbert. And this book is deep. I mean, the world building, the politics, the drama, the characters, the religions, they're just so well thought out. And it just amazes me that in the 60s, which I don't know, I'm full of stereotypes and bad information, but I just don't see the 60s as a great time for science and sci-fi. But I'm wrong because there was some incredible science fiction that came out of the 60s, including Frank Herbert, Arthur C. Clarke, Isaac Asimov, just to name a few. But yeah, the 60s did not limit their imagination from writing huge, scoping, beautiful, believable worlds that we are still enthralled by over 50 years later. So it's finally getting a remake. And I know there was one in 1984, which was cool. But with today's technology and film quality, it's going to be beautiful to see Dune on the big screen. And I'm sure it's going to make enough money to do at least a trilogy because there's like 7 or 8 books or something like that. So plenty of material. My last item for this episode is Avatar 2 coming out in 2021, as in 2 years from now. It's probably going to take him that long to do the special effects on this movie because, well, it's all computer graphics. And the one in 2009 still holds up till today. It's beautiful. It's amazing. I don't understand how and why there is hate for Avatar, the first movie, online. I remember when Valerian, the City of a Thousand Planets, the movie, was announced. One of their advertising videos that got around pretty well on Facebook opened with, "If you loved Avatar, ... or something to that effect." Like, so it's kind of just playing off of the visual spectacle and fame of Avatar. And then it's like, then you're gonna like Valerian, whatever. And there's a bunch of comments where people are just being just like snarky and saying, "You're acting like Avatar was a good movie." I'm just like, shut up. Like, sure, it was a tree hugging movie and that just annoys some people, but get over it. Like, it's a good message. It was way far ahead of its time and it was perfectly executed as a movie. So they just need to shut their little mouth and enjoy a film for what it is. But we're getting a sequel, and I think there's going to be 2 more after this. James Cameron is just going to be too rich. I mean, I don't know how he does it. But hopefully it does not mean that there won't be any sequels to Battle Angel Alita, which is also a James Cameron and a Robert Rodriguez project. But I just feel like Avatar is going to suck all his attention and money and fame into that. And he's not going to have anything left for Alita because I really want to see that play out as a trilogy. Alita Battle Angel was awesome. We had an episode about it in the past where we had on the show an actress that was in the freaking movie. How cool is that? So if that interests you any bit, go listen to that episode. It was great. So yeah, Avatar 2 apparently is taking place in the ocean or in water, a lot of it. I don't know how that's possible. I mean, we don't know if the Na'vi are aquatic creatures as well, if they can breathe underwater, or if there's another tribe that has a city that's underwater. I don't know. But I can't wait to see it. All right, well, that wraps up this random hodgepodge of news and things that were interesting to Daniel. I hope they're interesting to you as well. I would love to hear back from you guys on movies or books or shows you're looking forward to, or maybe something that you finished recently that you were just really impressed by. Let us know in the comments on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, because we want to hear back from our listeners. And we also would love to know, what do you want to hear more of? Do you like this kind of episode where it's just kind of random science news and, updates? Do you want to hear more interviews of creative people? Do you want more movie reviews, book reviews? What do you want to hear? I want to know. You got to tell me so that we can make great content that you cannot wait to listen to. And we do not make any money off of this podcast. In case you're curious, this is purely just a super nerdy hobby. Nate and I had so many great conversations before the podcast started about a year ago. And we just started realizing like, hey, we listen to podcasts about this stuff and they're not talking about the stuff we're talking about. How cool would it be to do a podcast that was kind of based around a lot of our conversations and just around the things that we love, which was movies, sci-fi, comics, superheroes, all that stuff. And here we are, a year and 72 episodes later. So it's really just purely for fun. But it isn't as fun to do in the dark when no one's writing us and we never hear back from anybody. So email us at tvvpodcast@gmail.com, or better yet, just comment on our social media, share a post, all that fun stuff so we can hear back from you guys. Well, I think that's it for me. I'm finally done talking. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll be with you next week. If you like this show, be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app. You can also find our previous episodes there and listen whenever you want. We love to hear from our listeners, so if you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, you can reach us at tvvpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and have a great week. Lemonade. You do love me. Ooh, that's some good lemonade.